At my wedding, my fiancé Eric's childhood sweetheart rushed onto the stage and slapped me. Before I could react, my younger brother charged forward and pushed her away. However, Eric kicked my brother in the chest, brutally breaking his arm. He grabbed my neck, forcing me to kneel and apologize to his childhood sweetheart. The guests watched the spectacle, while my parents fainted from anger. Gazing at his ferocious face, I smiled and dialed 911 in front of everyone. "Hello, police? There's intentional assault here, and I want to report Eric for commercial bribery." "Mia, you bitch. Stealing someone else's boyfriend, have you no shame?" A shrill female voice shattered the wedding march. A woman in a white dress rushed onto the vow platform like a gust of wind and slapped me across the face. The crisp slap echoed throughout the banquet hall. My head jerked to the side from the blow, my face burning with pain, and my ears ringing. Everyone was stunned. The officiant stood with mouth agape, forgetting his lines. The guests below craned their necks and whispered among themselves. Before I could respond, a figure dashed up from the guest seats. It was my brother, Leo. "Who the hell are you? How dare you hit my sister?" Leo shoved the madwoman aside and shielded me behind him. The woman was named Lily, dressed in a white skirt somewhat similar to my wedding gown, now weakly slumped on the ground with tears instantly welling up. Before I could speak, my fiancé beside me, Eric, moved. He didn't help me or even glance at me. He lunged forward, bypassing me, straight toward Lily on the ground. "Lily. Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself anywhere?" He carefully helped Lily up, his tense and worried demeanor treating her like fragile treasure. Meanwhile, I, his lawfully wedded wife-to-be, stood aside like an extraneous joke. Leo trembled with rage, pointing at Eric's nose and cursing, "Eric, are you fucking blind? She hit my sister. And you're protecting her?" Eric finally deigned to glance our way, but his gaze was icy cold. "Leo, as a grown man, you lay hands on a girl and think you're justified? Lay hands? I just pushed her away. She hit first." Leo's face flushed red with anger. Eric sneered, supporting Lily by the waist, his voice full of defense. "Lily is in poor health. If something happens from your push, can you take responsibility?" Lily leaned into Eric's embrace, sobbing pitifully. "Brother Eric, I'm fine. It's all my fault, I shouldn't have come. I just couldn't bear it." As she spoke, she used her tear-filled eyes to provocatively glare at me. I finally understood. This wasn't an accident, it was a premeditated humiliation. At that moment, my mother stood up in fury, pointing at the farce on stage. "Eric! What is the meaning of this? Today is your wedding with Mia." My father, face ashen, remained relatively calm and shouted at the security, "Where's security? Throw out that troublemaking woman." Several guards rushed onto the stage upon hearing this. Eric shielded Lily even more tightly, his fierce gaze sweeping over the guards. "Who dares to touch her?" The guards exchanged glances, not daring to advance. Eric, the only son of the Gu family, was someone no one dared offend. The murmurs from below grew louder. "What's wrong with this groom? Protecting another woman? Who is that woman? Their relationship seems unusual. This is quite a show, will the wedding proceed?" These voices pierced my ears like needles. Leo was completely enraged, he broke free from my grasp and charged again. "Eric! You must give my sister an explanation today." In the instant he rushed forward, Eric raised his leg. Wearing expensive custom leather shoes, he viciously kicked my brother's chest. Leo was sent flying backward, crashing into the backdrop, then slamming heavily onto the ground. "Ah!" A scream rang out. I watched helplessly as Leo clutched his arm, writhing in agony on the ground. That arm was twisted at a bizarre angle. It was broken. My mind buzzed, going blank. "Leo!" I screamed and rushed over, kneeling on the ground, wanting to help my brother up but not daring to touch his twisted arm. He was sweating profusely from pain, his face pale, lips trembling. "Sis, My hand. My parents rushed onto the stage like mad. My mother held Leo, crying heartbrokenly. My son. Leo. My father trembled with rage, pointing at Eric, unable to utter a word, then collapsed backward rigidly. Richard. My mother exclaimed in shock, fumbling to support my father. The entire wedding venue descended into complete chaos. The instigator of it all, Eric, merely stood there coldly. He looked at Leo rolling on the ground, his eyes devoid of any guilt, only annoyance. As if my brother's suffering was merely a stain dirtying his wedding. Lily in his arms revealed a smug, barely concealed smile. Supporting Leo, I slowly stood up. I looked at Eric, the man I had loved for 3 years, to whom I was about to entrust my life. His face was still handsome, but at this moment, in my eyes, it appeared utterly unfamiliar and grotesque. Eric. I spoke, my voice surprisingly calm. Why did you do this? He finally looked me in the eye, his gaze carrying a hint of impatience and contempt. Mia, you have the nerve to ask me? If your brother hadn't started it, would I have kicked him? He just pushed her away. She hit me first. I nearly roared. So what if she slapped you? Eric's voice suddenly rose. Do you know how much grievance Lily has suffered? If you hadn't interfered, she would be the one standing here marrying me today. I was stunned. Interfered? Ours was a business marriage, agreed upon by both parents. We had dated for 3 years. In those 3 years, he was gentle and considerate toward me, caring in every way. Everyone said I had found the best match. Now, he tells me I was the third party? Lily cried even harder in his arms. Brother Eric, don't say that. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have come back. I shouldn't have ruined your wedding. I just couldn't control myself. She sobbed breathlessly, as if suffering immense injustice. Eric immediately lowered his head, softly consoling her. No, Lily, you're not wrong. It's my fault for not protecting you well. His affectionate performance completely pierced my heart. I laughed, tears streaming down. Fine, what profound affection. I wiped away the tears, pointing at Leo moaning in pain on the ground. What about him? My brother? You broke his arm. How do we settle this account? Eric's face darkened. He finally released Lily and approached me step by step. The oppressive aura from him made it nearly impossible for me to breathe. He stood before me, looking down condescendingly. Mia, what do you want? Apologize. I met his eyes, saying word by word, you, and her, apologize to my brother. Eric reacted as if hearing the biggest joke. Make me apologize to this kid? Have you lost your mind? He glanced at Lily, then turned his gaze back to me, the malice in his eyes almost tangible. Apology is possible. He suddenly smiled, a chilling smile. You, kneel down, kowtow to Lily, beg her to forgive your and your brother's recklessness, and I'll consider whether to send him to the hospital. What? I doubted my ears. He wanted me to kneel and kowtow to apologize to the woman who slapped me? In your dreams. I trembled with rage. The guests' discussion surged like waves. This is too much. How can the groom act like this? Exactly, beating the brother-in-law like that and making the bride kneel? TSK, the Yuan family's daughter marrying, truly unlucky for 8 lifetimes. Eric's parents, William and Mrs. Margaret, sat at the head table, their faces equally grim. Mrs. Margaret stood up, intending to say something, but William pulled her back and shook his head. They chose silence, tacitly approving their son's violence. The smile on Eric's face deepened. He reached out and grabbed my neck. The force was so great that I instantly couldn't breathe. Mia, I have no time to waste with you. His voice squeezed through gritted teeth. Kneel. Apologize. Don't force me to do it myself. Suffocation set in, my vision darkening. I could feel his fingers tightening. He truly wanted me dead. My brother Leo struggled to get up but fell back weakly, only able to hoarse, "Let go of my sister." Eric, you beast. My mother had fainted crying in my father's arms, the scene in utter disarray. And my fiancé was forcing me to death in front of everyone. I looked at his grotesque face, at Lily's smug expression behind him. 3 years of affection shattered into nothing in this moment. My heart died completely. But I couldn't die, nor kneel. If I knelt, my parents, my brother, and our Yuan family would become the laughingstock of the entire city. Using all my strength, I squeezed out words through gritted teeth. You will regret this. Eric seemed enraged by my gaze, tightening his grip further. Regret? Mia, my biggest regret is ever knowing you. Just as I thought I would truly die here, I gave up struggling. I let him choke me, my body gradually softening. But at an angle he couldn't see, my hand reached into the wedding dress pocket, touching the cold phone. I didn't cry or beg. I looked at him and suddenly smiled. Under everyone's gaze, in ultimate humiliation and suffocation, I pressed the preset shortcut key. The phone screen lit up, the call connected. I put it on speaker. A clear, serious voice transmitted through the microphone, filling the entire banquet hall. Hello, 911 Emergency Center, how can I assist you? In that instant, the whole world fell silent. Eric's hand choking my neck suddenly loosened. He stared incredulously at the phone in my hand, his grotesque expression turning to shock and panic. What are you doing? I gasped heavily, fresh air flooding my lungs, causing violent coughs. Ignoring him, I spoke clearly into the phone with all my strength. Hello, police? I want to report a crime. At Golden Bay Hotel, Rose Hall, there's intentional assault here. I paused, lifted my head, met Eric's terrified gaze, and hammered the final nail word by word. Also, I want to report under my real name. Report my fiancé, Eric, for suspected commercial bribery and tax evasion. The entire banquet hall fell deathly silent. Everyone was stunned by my bombshell statement. Eric's face turned ashen in an instant. Mia. You're crazy. Do you know what you're saying? He lunged to snatch my phone, but I dodged sideways. The police on the line clearly realized the severity. Ma'am, please repeat the content of your report. Ensure everything you say is true. False reporting carries legal consequences. I'm certain. I looked at Eric, smiling brilliantly. Every word I said is true. I have evidence. You fucking. Eric went completely mad, pouncing at me like an enraged beast. But this time, someone stopped him. Several hotel security guards finally reacted, rushing up to restrain him firmly. Eric's parents could no longer sit still. William rushed on stage with a livid face, pointing at me. Mia. Don't talk nonsense. Can't we resolve this privately instead of going to the police? Mrs. Margaret chimed in, Yes, Mia, today is your and Eric's joyous day, don't ruin your marriage over a small misunderstanding. Small misunderstanding? My brother's arm broken, me publicly choked and forced to kneel, this is a small misunderstanding? I sneered. William, Mrs. Margaret, now you remember it's a joyous day? When your son was assaulting and humiliating me earlier, why didn't you say anything? They were rendered speechless by my retort. Lily panicked, hiding behind Eric, softly tugging his sleeve. Brother Eric, what to do, how does she know? Eric flung her hand away, glaring ferociously at me as if wanting to devour me alive. Mia, what exactly do you want? You think this can threaten me? I tell you, it's useless. Threaten? I shook my head. No, I'm not threatening you. I'm sending you where you belong. With that, I ignored them and continued into the phone. Officer, my name is Mia, ID number is. I report GU Group President Eric for long-term use of his position to bribe multiple officials, involving huge amounts. He also used our Yuan family's channels to falsify accounts and evade taxes. All evidence is prepared. My words exploded like bombs in the crowd. William's legs weakened, nearly collapsing. You. He pointed at me, too angry to speak. the police were highly efficient. In less than 10 minutes, sirens approached. Several uniformed officers and tax department staff entered this venue that should have been filled with joy. The lead officer glanced at the chaos, frowning. "Who called the police?" I raised my hand. It was me. The officer approached, looked at Leo still moaning on the ground, then at the clear finger marks on my neck. "What happened here?" I calmly pointed at Eric. Eric, at our wedding, broke my brother's arm and tried to strangle me. Eric struggled frantically. "I didn't. Her brother started it. She's framing me. We have hundreds of guests as witnesses." I scanned the onlookers below. Moreover, the banquet hall surveillance should have captured it clearly. Eric's face paled further. The lead officer nodded and said to his colleagues, "First, send the injured to the hospital, take the suspect back for investigation." 2 officers stepped forward, pulling out cold handcuffs. "Mr. Eric, you're suspected of intentional injury, please come with us." Eric panicked completely. He looked at his father, William. "Dad. Save me. I don't want to go to the police station." William's face was uglier than death. He tried to plead but was stopped by tax officials. "Mr. William, right? We're from the Municipal Tax Audit Bureau. We received a real name report suspecting your company of tax evasion and other violations. This is our investigation notice. From now on, all your company's accounts will be sealed for investigation." William looked at the notice, his eyes rolled back, and he fainted directly. The scene was pandemonium. As Eric was handcuffed and passed by me, he stared venomously. "Mia, you're ruthless. Just wait, I won't let you go." I looked at him and smiled. "Eric, the game has just begun." From another pocket in my wedding dress, I took out a small recorder and pressed play in front of him. Inside, his sleazy conversation with a man played. "The Yuan family's channels are really useful. Once this batch ships, we'll make a fortune again. Eric, you're clever, fooling that silly girl Mia completely. Once married, the whole Yuan family will be yours, right?" "Heh, just a woman. Once I empty the Yuan family, I'll kick her aside. My heart only has our Lily." The recording ended, and Eric's face lost all color. What is this?" Eric's voice trembled. He stared at the recorder in my hand as if seeing a ghost. "What? Can't recognize your own voice?" I turned off the recorder and put it back in my pocket. "This is just an appetizer, the more exciting ones, I've handed directly to the police." When did you?" He couldn't comprehend. In his eyes, I was always a love-struck fool, obedient and compliant. He never imagined I'd have this up my sleeve. I looked at his horrified expression, feeling no ripple in my heart. "Probably from 3 months ago, when you started frequent overtime, always carrying a perfume scent not mine. Of course, I'm not a born detective. I'm just a woman with particularly keen senses in love. Initially, I thought he was just cheating. Women do that, check who the mistress is, catch them in the act, then decide to split or reconcile. I hired a private investigator. The results were shocking. Eric and his childhood sweetheart Lily had never broken off. In front of me, they played deep sibling affection, but behind, they were in bed together. What shocked me more was another discovery by the detective. Eric was using our Yuan family company for illegal activities. His purpose in marrying me wasn't love, but for my family's assets and the business channels built over years. He wanted to use me as a stepping stone, the Yuan family as a shield and blood bank for his illegal business. Once emptied, he'd kick me aside as in the recording and live happily with Lily. The moment I got the evidence, I didn't cry or make a scene. I just felt cold, from head to toe. The man I loved for 3 years had schemed to ruin my family. I quietly collected all evidence, then proceeded with wedding preparations as if nothing happened. I was even more gentle and considerate than before. Eric thought he had me completely under control. He didn't know I was waiting for the best timing to make him fall from the highest point, shattered to pieces. The wedding was the perfect stage. I wanted to tear off his hypocritical mask in front of everyone, ruining him and the Gu family completely. Now, the time had come. Watching Eric being taken away by police, William fainted on the ground, Lily in total panic, I felt this wedding was truly worth it. The ambulance arrived, medics carefully lifted my brother onto the stretcher, and my father was helped up too. My mother held my hand, tears still flowing, but her eyes held a trace of relief and lingering fear. Mia. Fortunately you. I patted her hand, Mom, don't be afraid, it's over. Let's go home. I took off the expensive yet ironic wedding dress, changed into my own clothes, and went to the hospital with the ambulance. Behind me, the lavish wedding costing millions turned into an unattended farce. I knew from tomorrow, the Yuan family's wedding cancellation and Gu family's downfall would be the city's biggest news. And I, Mia, would be at the center of this storm. But I didn't care. Compared to watching my family devoured by wolves, I'd rather unleash this storm myself. In the hospital, the pungent disinfectant smell calmed me. Leo's diagnosis came, comminuted fracture of the left ulna and radius, requiring immediate surgery. The doctor said the assailant's force was extremely heavy and vicious. This wasn't ordinary shoving but malicious intentional injury. My mother, upon hearing, cried heartbrokenly again. My father awoke from coma, learning of his son's injury. This always strong man had red eyes. He held my hand, voice hoarse. Mia, Dad is sorry, Dad misjudged, nearly pushing you into the fire pit. Dad, it's not your fault. I shook my head. He hid too deeply. Yes, hidden too deeply. Who could imagine that polite, filial to my parents, meticulously caring Eric was such a demon in human skin? For 3 years, he played the role too well. So well that even I was deeply immersed, unable to extricate myself. Without that ironclad evidence, I might never believe he'd treat me this way until death. I comforted my parents, letting them rest first, while I guarded the operating room door. My phone kept ringing, with relatives and friends offering condolences, business partners probing, and countless unknown numbers, presumably eager reporters. I ignored them all, setting to silent. Only one call I hesitated but answered, Mrs. Margaret, Eric's mother. Upon connecting, her tearful voice came. Mia. I beg you. Let Eric go. I remained silent, listening quietly. Eric was momentarily confused. Bewitched by that vixen. He has you in his heart. How can 3 years of feelings be discarded just like that? Mia, withdraw the lawsuit, okay? As long as you do, we'll do anything. Didn't you always want that land in the South City? We'll transfer it to you immediately. And that jewelry brand you like, we'll buy it and give it to you. Just say the word. Truly laughable. Even now, they thought money could solve everything. They thought I, Mia, was a woman who could be bought with money. Mrs. Margaret. I finally spoke, my voice cold without a trace of warmth. When your son's foot kicked my brother, why didn't you stop him? Silence on the other end. When he was choking me, nearly killing me on stage, where were you? Mrs. Margaret faltered. You were sitting below, seeing everything clearly, right? But you chose to stand by. Because in your eyes, my brother's injury, my life, weren't worth your son's momentary satisfaction, correct? I didn't, at the time. She explained flusteredly. So, don't come begging me now. I interrupted. Let your son spend the rest of his life in prison properly. With that, I hung up and blocked her. The world finally quieted. The operating room light went out. The doctor came out, removing his mask. Surgery was successful, but arm function may be affected, requiring long-term rehabilitation. My heart tightened. To what extent? Daily life is fine, but precise or explosive actions may be impossible. Leo loved basketball since childhood. He was the school team's star, winning several city championships. His dream was to become a professional basketball player. Now, that dream was shattered by Eric's kick. I entered the ward, looking at my brother on the bed, arm in thick cast, face pale. My heart twisted like a knife. Eric, I not only want you imprisoned. I want you and the entire Gu family to pay for my brother's dream. After waking, Leo's first words were to me. Sis, are you okay? That beast didn't do anything else to you? He struggled to sit up, aggravating the wound, gasping in pain. I quickly held him down. I'm fine, don't move. He looked at his slung arm, eyes dimming. Sis, is my hand ruined? Nonsense. I forced back sorrow, smoothing his forehead hair. Doctor said surgery was successful, with proper rehab, it'll heal soon. He said no more, silently staring at the ceiling. I knew what he was thinking. I left the ward and called the lawyer. Attorney Victor, regarding Eric's intentional injury case, I accept no settlement. My only demand, severe sentencing. Also, for the Gu Group case, all evidence in my hands has been submitted to police and tax authorities. I'm available anytime for further cooperation. Additionally, I want to sue Eric for civil compensation, including Leo's medical, rehab, nutrition fees, and most importantly, mental damages and future career loss compensation. I want Eric to spit out everything he swindled from our Yuan family, with interest. I want him to pay a price he can't afford for ruining my brother's life. The situation escalated faster than imagined. The next day, city finance news and entertainment headlines were dominated by Gu Group president arrested at wedding site. Online, videos and photos from the wedding flooded everywhere. Eric's vicious kick on Leo. His grotesque choking of me. Lily's weak yet smug White Lotus facade. All crystal clear. Public opinion overwhelmingly sided with me. Groom is scum, confirmed. Feel for the bride, timely stop-loss, well done. That mistress is so cheap? Stealing fiancé and provoking at door? Gu Group stock hit limit down at opening. Partners cancelled contracts, banks demanded debts. The long-standing business empire teetered overnight. The Gu family was in total disarray. William had a stroke from anger, hospitalized, reportedly hemiplegic. Mrs. Margaret, overwhelmed, begged everywhere to bail Eric out. But this time, no one dared help. Commercial bribery, tax evasion, huge amounts, solid evidence, whoever touched it would perish. Soon, I received an unexpected call from Lily. She sobbed on the phone. Miss Mia, please, let brother Eric go. He can't go to prison. If he does, his life is ruined. I sneered. His ruin, what does it matter to me? When he ruined my brother's life, why didn't he think of today? No. It's not what you think. She urgently defended. That day's incident was all my fault. I impulsively caused trouble. It has nothing to do with brother Eric. I love him, I can't leave him. Oh? Is that so? I asked casually. Then Eric using my family's channels for smuggling and falsifying accounts, was that also you making him do it? Silence instantly on the other end. After a long while, she said in a venomous yet fearful voice, Mia, what do you want? Must you drive us all to death to be satisfied? I don't want to drive anyone to death. I said word by word. I just want those who did wrong to receive due punishment. You, and him, neither can escape. Hanging up, I looked out the window. The sky was clearing. A few days later, Mrs. Margaret came again. This time, not to beg, but blocking me in the hospital corridor. She was much haggard, hair gray, no longer the elegant lady. Upon seeing me, she pounced, trying to grab my arm. Mia. You vicious woman. You've ruined our family like this, are you satisfied? I stepped back, avoiding her hand. Mrs. Margaret, please watch your words. It's your son who broke the law, not me harming him. If not for your report, how would Eric be arrested? How would the Gu family become like this? She roared hoarsely, drawing sidelong glances. When he did those things, he should have thought of today. I looked at her coldly. Coming to make a scene now, Do you want everyone to know what kind of good son you raised? She was choked by my words, face flushing red. She probably didn't expect the previously docile and respectful me to become so sharp-tongued. She took a deep breath, as if resolving something. Mia, I know you hate Eric and me. But the Gu family can't fall. If it does, Eric really can't get out. She suddenly softened, voice pleading. Mia, as long as you relent, tell the police those evidences are forged by you out of love turned hate revenge. I'll let Lily take the blame. I was stunned. Make me recant? Then let Lily take the fall for Eric? Looking at this woman, for the first time I felt a bone-chilling dread from the heart. Even a tiger doesn't eat its cubs. To save her son, she could think of letting another woman take the blame. Though I despised Lily too, at this moment, I actually felt she was somewhat pitiable. In the Gu family's eyes, Lily, like me Mia, was just a pawn to sacrifice any time. Do you think Lily will agree? I asked. Mrs. Margaret's eyes flickered, then firmed. She will. She loves Eric so much, surely willing to do anything for him. I'll give her money, enough for a worry-free life, and send her abroad after the heat dies. She had calculated everything. Sacrifice one Lily for Eric's freedom and preserve Gu assets. What a bargain. I laughed. Mrs. Margaret, you really play a good abacus. But you forgot. I retracted my smile, looking into her eyes. I'm not Lily, I won't be manipulated by you. Moreover, why do you think I'd perjure myself to save your precious son, burdening myself with crime? You. Go back and tell your husband lying in bed, and your son preparing to rot in prison. I approached step by step, voice not loud but each word piercing. The game, I started it. But how it ends is not up to you. I bypassed her, heading straight to Leo's ward. Behind, her uncontrollable, desperate wails. I didn't look back. I feared I'd burst into laughter. The Gu family ship was already broken. Now, just wait to see the people on board tear each other apart for survival. The developments were more splendid than imagined. Mrs. Margaret's wishful thinking failed. Lily, who professed loving Eric to death, was the first to betray upon learning the Gu family wanted her to take the blame. She proactively contacted the police. She said she too would report. She reported Eric not only for commercial bribery and tax evasion but also money laundering and multiple economic frauds. The evidence she submitted was more core, secretive, and fatal than mine. It included Eric's fund transfers with overseas accounts and recordings of his conspiracies with other business tycoons. These would ensure Eric rots in prison forever, never to rise. When the news came, I was peeling an apple for Leo. Leo watched Lily on the news, sobbing at the police station door, accusing how Eric deceived and used her, and curled his lip. Sis, this woman isn't good either. Previously arrogant, now biting back. Just dogs biting dogs. I cut the peeled apple into pieces and handed them to him. Neither of them is innocent. Lily participated in many of Eric's illegal deals. She thought she was his true love, future wife. So she willingly did those shady things for him. Now, Eric couldn't protect himself, and the Gu family wanted her as scapegoat. She was scared. For self-preservation and reduced sentence, she unhesitatingly sold Eric out completely. Truly ironic. At the wedding, they played unbreakable love. In a blink, they became mutual destroyers. The Gu family was utterly finished. William, upon hearing in hospital, worsened and was sent to ICU, life uncertain. Mrs. Margaret seemed to age 20 years overnight, washing her face with tears daily. Gu assets were frozen, seized, awaiting liquidation. Former close relatives, friends, partners now avoided them like plague. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. This grand play was finally ending. And I, who personally raised the curtain, felt unprecedented calm. I felt no thrill of revenge, no joy of vengeance. I just felt everything return to its proper track. Evildoers deserve retribution. That day, I received Attorney Victor's call. "Miss Mia, Eric's case is about to go to trial. Also, regarding your brother's civil compensation suit, the opposing lawyer contacted me, saying, the Gu family has no money left to compensate." "No money?" "Yes, all Gu assets frozen for fines and taxes, the rest divided by banks and creditors. They're in negative equity now." I fell silent. I anticipated many outcomes, but not this. I didn't want their money, just to make them pay for my brother's injury. But now, they couldn't even afford that price. "Miss Mia?" Attorney Victor asked on the phone. "Do we continue this civil suit?" "Continue," I said without hesitation. "Even if they have no money now, I want the court to rule. I want that judgment paper posted on their door. I want everyone to know the Gu family owes my brother an arm, a future. Money, I can forego. But justice must be claimed." On trial day, I went. I sat in the first row of the gallery, watching Eric escorted to the defendant's seat by bailiffs. He was thinner, haggard, in prison uniform, crew-cut, no longer the spirited self. He saw me. That gaze was no longer the wedding's ferocity and venom but a mix of regret, unwillingness, and plea. He opened his mouth, seeming to want to say something. But I just looked expressionlessly, my heart unmoved. Throughout the trial, I remained calm. The prosecutor read his charges one by one, presenting evidence I'd seen countless times. Commercial bribery, tax evasion, money laundering, fraud, intentional injury, each enough to doom him. His defense lawyer made pale, ineffective arguments. And he himself, head down from start to end, silent. I thought he probably knew it was all over. Lily, as a tainted witness, also testified. On the stand, she sobbed, recounting how Eric blinded her, leading her step by step into crime. She portrayed herself as ignorant, innocent, love-blinded victim. She spoke tearfully, as if truly suffering great injustice. Watching her clumsy performance, I found it laughable. In an avalanche, no snowflake is innocent. When enjoying money from Eric's illegal means, why didn't she feel innocent? When rushing to my wedding, slapping and provoking me, why didn't she feel ignorant? However, her testimony indeed delivered Eric the final blow. Finally, the court sentenced Eric, for multiple crimes, received 20 years imprisonment and confiscation of all personal property. Upon hearing, his legs buckled, collapsing. Bailiffs dragged him out. Lily, for major meritorious service and voluntarily returning all illicit gains, got 3 years imprisonment, suspended for 4 years. Leaving court, she saw me. Head down, she tried to hurry past. I called her. "Lily." She stiffened, stopped, but dared not look. "Know why I didn't send you in?" I approached, saying softly. She lifted her head puzzled. I smiled. "Because leaving you outside, watching Eric suffer inside, watching Gu family utterly fall, is the greatest torment for you. Do you love him? Then use your future life to savor the pain this love brings." Her face instantly paled. Ignoring her further, I turned and left. Outside the court, sunshine was perfect. I looked up at the azure sky, exhaling long. Everything ended. I didn't win. In this farce, no winners. I just timely stopped loss, struggling awake from a nightmare. My life could restart. Leo's recovery was long and painful. But he was strong, never crying pain before me. He gave up basketball, starting to learn painting. He said, though hand can't play ball anymore, it can hold a brush. He wants to paint all beautiful things. Watching his focused look at the easel, I knew he had moved on. Our family gradually regained peace. Though parents' company was affected by Gu affair, under Dad's efforts, it stabilized slowly. I resigned my nominal idle job at Gu Group, returned to family company, starting from grassroots, learning management from Dad. I cut my long hair, put away pretty dresses, donned sharp business attire. I invested all time and energy into work. I wanted to become stronger, strong enough to protect my family from any harm. Half a year later, Dad officially retired, handing full control to me. I became Yuan Group's youngest president. Many doubted me, thinking I was just a spoiled girl relying on family. I didn't argue. I used beautiful performances and successful projects to silence all. Under my lead, Yuan not only didn't decline but became more brilliant than before. I became an undeniable rising star in the city's business world. Occasionally, I'd hear news about the Gu family and Lily. After stroke, William remained bedridden, unable to self-care. Mrs. Margaret sold her last jewelry, hired a caregiver for him, and worked as supermarket cashier to barely sustain. Heard she often sat roadside alone, muttering, seeming mentally unstable. And Lily, her reputation utterly ruined. She couldn't find work, make friends, pointed at everywhere. She wanted to leave the city but was restricted during probation. Just as I said, trapped in this city, tasting the bitter fruit she planted. Once, during mall inspection, I saw her from afar. In cheap clothes, no makeup, at cosmetics counter, being scolded by a customer pointing nose. Who dares want things you touched? Mistress. Jinx. Head down, she bowed apologizing repeatedly, utterly disheveled. Between us, bustling crowd. She didn't see me. I didn't approach. We were already from two worlds. Another year passed. Leo got into his ideal art academy. On departure day, I saw him off. At airport, he gave me a big hug. Sis, thank you. Thank you for what? Thank you for letting me still have chance to pursue new dreams. He smiled, eyes reddening. From now on, I'll protect you. I smiled, patting his back. Good. After seeing Leo off, I drove home alone. The car radio played an old song. If not for you suddenly entering my life, how would I let go of the loneliness I guarded? I turned off the radio. In past years, I deliberately avoided emotional issues. I didn't disbelieve in love. I just wasn't ready to welcome a new relationship. The shadow Eric left was deeper than imagined. Sometimes in dead of night, I'd still dream of wedding day. Dream of his cold hands choking my neck, and his words, "My biggest regret is knowing you." Then wake from nightmare, in cold sweat. I thought perhaps in this life, I'd never love again. Until I met Daniel. He was my company's new legal advisor, a gentle, elegant man always speaking with a smile. Due to work, we had much contact. He was smart, professional, yet humorous. Being with him was always relaxed, comfortable. Colleagues joked Daniel looked at me differently. I took it as jest. Until one company annual meeting, I drank too much. At end, it rained heavily. I stood at company door, waiting for driver. Daniel, holding umbrella, approached. Mia, let me send you. No need, my driver is coming soon. I somewhat embarrassedly smoothed my wind-messed hair. He didn't insist, just silently tilted the umbrella more toward me. Rain soaked his half shoulder. We stood silently in the rain like that. After a long while, he suddenly spoke. Mia, I know what you've been through. My heart jolted. I've seen those news online. He looked at me, eyes without sympathy or pity, only a deep emotion I couldn't read. I just want to say, you're very brave. He said. You're the bravest woman I've seen. At that moment, the long frozen mountain in my heart seemed to show a sign of melting. After that night, Daniel began formally pursuing me. He'd bring handmade breakfast, silently accompany me during overtime, remember all my preferences. He never mentioned my past, never asked. He just used actions to gradually warm and heal me. I didn't agree immediately. I was afraid. Afraid it was another elaborate scam. Afraid he too was after my status, my family wealth. Until one day, I accidentally found an old photo in his wallet. On it, a girl in school uniform, smiling brightly. That girl was me in high school. I took the photo to ask him. He smiled embarrassedly. You found it. Actually, I've had a crush on you for a long time. From high school to now, exactly 10 years. At that moment, all my defenses and disguises collapsed. In a corner I didn't know, such a pair of eyes had silently watched me for 10 years. Looking at his sincere eyes, I finally nodded. Daniel, I'm willing to try again. We were together. No grand wedding, no lavish vows. We just went to the Civil Affairs Bureau and got a red certificate. Leaving the bureau, he held my hand, seriously saying, Mia, let the bad past go. For future life, I'll accompany you. I'll let you know you deserve the best in the world. I looked at him and smiled. Tears flowed unconsciously. This time, not from sorrow or pain, but from happiness. Yes. I deserve it. I, Mia, deserve the best in the world.